Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depends on where you are. I always like to say to our South African brothers and sisters out there and to all our Perth, Australian brothers and sisters. I don't know. Some of you it's morning, some it's afternoon, and some is evening. Welcome to Purpose Living. We are speaking today about our book club. We are so excited. I am Antoinette Marie Williams, by the way, of Antoinette Marie Speaks. And so all week I have been speaking about the book club. And so today we are debuting our first book, Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen, The Emotional Lives of Black Women by Inger Burnett Zeigler, PhD. And I tell you what, I am very, very excited about speaking about this book and everything. It's so yummy. Every time I think about goodness and yummy type of stuff, the first person comes to my mind, of course, is Michelle Hardy with all the yummy and the candy. So I am excited, and we have two guests that are in our green room that I'm excited about them coming on board. I tell you, if you are an individual, male or female, um, someone that is of African American descent or not, this book here has given me continual insight on some of the things that African American women, including myself with all this melanin that I got, things that we actually do go through. And if you are not a person that is of African American descent or a Black woman, you can definitely still support Black women. You can be an ally to Black women. And if you are someone that is watching, and I think I need to share this. I think that's what's happening. And if you are someone that you really, truly, you love Black women. I know a lot of y'all do. We know, we know a lot of y'all do. You are a friend of Black women. You are a ally of Black women. You are a supporter of Black women. There we go. I'm going to have to ask my friend Brandy how to, when I go from StreamYard, it always says only me. I don't know why, but now you all can share it. And so you can still join us. We will be discussing this particular book. Let me do it this way. We will be discussing this book every Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Eastern Time, that's going to be 11 a.m. Someone asked me before, why are you doing it in the morning? And I'm doing it in the morning because social media, and particularly Facebook and Instagram, is so saturated, and particularly with there being people coming on and having their own, whether it's a podcast or just doing things. And so this is what I felt was the best thing. And so that's why I'm doing it. And it's my show, and I can do it that way. So if you could, I would love for you to be able to to share this. I think that I know that people are going to be impacted on today. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce two of my guests. We have Shima. I heard people call her She, but I like Shima. So let's welcome Miss Shima to Purpose Living and our December book club. Hey, Shima.
Hello, everybody out there.
Hey, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm
Doing
doing
good.
good.
Okay. Well, you look nice and
So, I'm
educated.
at work, so I
Okay.
guess I had to get dressed to go to work today. I'm sure they don't want to see me in my pajamas at work.
It's okay. It's all right. And then we have Miss Brandy Johnson, the Brandy Johnson, We call her BJ because she is all of that and peanut butter jam, just all of that. She's so magnificent at so many things. Welcome, Brandy Johnson. How are you today?
I am fantastic. Your favorite word. I am
I am
fantastic.
fantastic. Fantastic. Listen, we have a lot of things we could say, but I think fantastic is just fantastic. How about that?
Agreed.
We might have a couple of other people that are going to join in with us today. And so let's just get into it. So, again, nobody knows the trouble I've seen, the emotional lives of Black women. I just want to know, like, just a really quick synopsis. What did you all think, even just about the book so far? Like, give us like already an overview. How did something in the first, several chapters, what resonated with you with this book? Shima?
I'm gonna pass the mic to Brandy
Brand?
because I am not prepared.
God, no, that's fine. So what resonated with you, BJ, on this book?
Honestly, the reconfirmation of the fact that like we as Black women, we don't have just one issue that we face that we're dealing with on a regular basis. Those of us that succeed on any level, whether it's being the first ones in our family to graduate high school, being the first ones to go to college, being the first ones to get that corporate job and make them coins, and then turn around and try and help the entire family, even though nobody put in the type of work you put in. All that is touched on in this book, and that's not to add the stress of dealing with corporate America and its baby back BS. The things we got to deal with these men that don't like they want to be called men, but they don't want to step up as men, and that we have so many multifaceted issues that we face on a regular basis, but still we rise, as my Angela used to say. So
Right.
that's what everything that's been reiterated just throughout the first five chapters has shown me. This my synopsis
Mhm.
on it thus far.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about this, when I was actually doing some diversity, equity, inclusion research, and that's how I actually found this book. And when I went on Amazon, and I saw a little snippet of the introduction, and I was like, oh, hold on, what in the world? I literally felt like uh, Dr. Burnett Zeigler was telling my story. I mean,
Yes.
from the introduction, and many people, some people kind of know my story just from the Level Up book, but I tell you, she hit on some things up in here. So this is what kind of caught me on this book. Was this is what she said just in the intro. She said, today's strong Black women, I have an issue with the word strong because, but we'll go into that because she talks about it. Today's strong Black women are grinding at work and climbing professional ladders at every event. Hair is laid, nails done, dressed to perfection, and nowhere is a trace of trouble to be found. When I read that, I was like, oh my goodness, did she just come up in my closet? When I was in corporate America. I mean, this literally, because I spoke a little bit about, like, when you have to be so much to so many systems, and a lot of times we say we wear so many hats, but we have to be, as Black women, we've had to be so much to so many systems: home, family, your own personal life if you have one, to the church, to volunteer places, and then in those places you wear 5 different hats.
Mm, that part.
That part right there. And so when I heard her say that, it reminded me, thank God I'm not in corporate America anymore. But I did learn a lot. I did learn a lot. So I'm not gonna bash corporate America. That's someone in the room. But the other thing is that I remember getting up in the morning, and I'm trying not to go into it, but I remember getting up in the morning, or even at night, I'll say that just from that sentence, laying out my clothes, like laying them out, laying my, my shoes out, making sure that the patent leather didn't have no streaks in them. It's just a lot, that we think about. And then I started thinking, am I paying that much attention and detail to my household?
Mm-hmm.
Am I
That balance
being
part.
that deliberate when it comes to what's happening with my kiddos, what's happening in my own life, my own mental health? We're going to go into the whole mental health. So when I heard that, I literally, it just brought me back to, wow, this lady is getting ready to really get in my business. And I think this is magnificent. One of the things I remember her saying too, she said, the strong Black woman can be seen on big and small screens or one click away on social media. Political leaders like Shirley Chisholm, Auntie Maxine, I'm reclaiming my time, and Michelle Obama, literally icons like literary icons like Gwendolyn Brooks, so on and so forth. Regina King, which is I said to somebody, I said, when there's a story about me, I want Regina King to play me. Make sure y'all remember that. I want her to play me. It's just something about Regina. Regina be like, and then she like, who you call? I don't know if y'all saw her last movie. She was like, who you calling? Okay. But one of the things that I wanted us to kind of discuss today was there is a focus so much for African American women or Black women to be strong. And what does that actually mean to us as African American Black women? Some people are more poised to say African American women or Black women. What does being a strong Black woman mean to you, Brandy?
Right now, it's changed for my case. Being a strong Black woman in my case is always putting my immediate family, my husband, myself, this household, and anyone who lives in it, which is currently me and my husband, first and foremost. Because studying my fellow sister queens, the ones that have acquired these good jobs, these amazing jobs, but never made time. And you've been fortunate, I've been fortunate. Sheila, you gonna be fortunate to find that good man that can also help you hold down the household while you're out here doing what you're doing. There are a lot of us that are out here doing it by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So being a strong Black woman can sometimes mean I do it by myself. I do it by myself. I do it by myself. And when you get so used to doing it by yourself, you don't know how to let somebody else in. So I think being a strong Black woman in my case is knowing that I don't need to do it by myself. I have help. Make sure my help knows that he's appreciated, and make sure that because I'm in a position that I'm able to be home and work my business because I do digital technician work, I'm able to do my business from home. And when I have children, I'll be home with them. And being strong to me is making the necessary sacrifices to make his sacrifices worth it.
That's beautiful, Brandy.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I so appreciate you saying that. Just a little break real quick. We have Miss the coach, Tracy Randolph, has just joined us. Yay!
Hey.
Hey.
You're gonna have to set my background up like hers. I have to, yeah. But thank you, Tracy, for joining us on today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm running around like a crazy person today, but
Yay!
Well, you
yeah,
know
but
what? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I came in on those nuggets, that wisdom that
Right.
brings this, yeah, the youngest of the crew too.
I
Kicking
know.
off, yeah. So thank you for that, Brandy, because it is a reminder, being
Yeah.
a well, I'm an intending, I guess you could say, right? I'm I'm not married, so I am a single woman, right? But being a single woman for so long and not really allowing for the help, and I'm
Mhm.
going to say not allowing for it, right? Because
I-
that's really where I have been, thinking that I could do it all, because that's how I was raised. So thank you for saying what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
go ahead, Shima.
I I I agree with everything that she said because
Mhm.
that's what we do. We've been,
Mhm.
like Tracy said, we've been taught. Um, from another perspective, I think that, and I guess from what I learned, I'll say from what I learned perspective,
Mhm.
it has so much to do with how you maintain this strength.
Mhm.
Um, and believing that it requires you to do everything
Mhm.
and be everything to
Mhm.
everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I mean, when you come from the opposite end, there's strength in tears.
Ooh.
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
strength in asking for help
Mhm.
and knowing that you need it.
Mhm.
Um, there's strength in saying I can't do it
Mhm.
or I don't want to do it.
Mhm.
Because
That part.
if nothing else, that's the strength of being able to say no.
Yeah, yeah. And that's even
So
stronger than just
absolutely,
agreeing to do something that you should
absolutely,
not or cannot do. It's even stronger.
and being
I was
okay with it.
yeah, and
Oh,
my own personal quote is there's strength in vulnerability, because
Right.
it's a lot stronger than not being vulnerable, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you're a lot stronger when you can show that vulnerable side, because
Absolutely.
that's
You know,
real. That's real
You're
life.
reading my mind. That
Yeah,
was the
right.
next
You
one.
know what I like about
yeah,
Being able
vulnerability
to
though?
show that.
yeah.
Exactly. But when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, people that aren't supposed to be in your life will reveal themselves a lot quicker if
Mm,
you are vulnerable and open up just enough
mhm,
to observe who's actually supposed to wear in your life.
Mhm.
yeah,
Their intent
Yeah,
becomes evident.
yeah.
Because
Ooh,
I'm
exactly.
real with me.
Jesus.
I'm understanding who I am and who I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
I'm vulnerable with what I'm providing or presenting to you.
yeah.
So now you have no choice because I've already stood into this strength.
Mhm,
You have no choice but to show me who you are for real.
mhm, mhm,
Exactly. Because if you share something from your past, say like when you were younger, maybe you was just out there a little bit too much, and you
mhm.
share that with somebody, and they ask you for a favor, and you like, no, I can't or won't do that. And well, that's why la 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 la. Okay, you're not supposed to be here no more because
Right.
I've already made peace with that. You can throw it in my face if you want to, but I'm okay with
Mhm,
it. But what you
mhm.
did was show me all your cards.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Show
yeah.
me who you are.
And you know what else goes with that too? Understanding where you are when you're vulnerable, right? Because some people are vulnerable, but they just don't really understand where they are. To be able to have the strength to say no, to, wean out those people that are not supposed to be there. So you have to know who you are and understand where you are and know that being vulnerable is okay. Because sometimes people are vulnerable and they don't really understand what's happening in their life. They don't know who they are in that moment.
Right.
And then they are susceptible to, you know, the people that are preying on them.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to know who you are and where you are.
It's
Well,
something about that awareness that
Yeah.
is just freeing.
Yeah.
Because I think we were just talking about the other day. So I mean to cut you off,
no,
AM,
go ahead.
but you I guess the perfect example is my mom even thought as when I was younger that, oh, you let people use you, Shima. And I didn't have the words or the knowledge or even understand it enough to say back then what it is or what it was. But now that I have come into this person,
Mm.
yeah, it looks like on the surface that I let people use me. I'm trying not to take it real spiritual, but I
You,
let God use me.
you can take this wherever you want to. It's my show.
I let God use me. And however it looks to the person who has malice and bad intent in their eyes, to attack me or,
Mhm.
touch me,
Mm-hmm.
you got to deal with what comes along with that.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And I had to cut myself short.
Barbs and
I
barbs.
used to be that exact same way, Shima, but I had to shift that when I got with my husband because I'm
Right.
not the one that pays the consequences if I allow myself to just flow the way that I used to flow. Because if I mess up and get taken advantage of, he's the one that got to come up with where I came up short. I
Mhm.
refuse to do that to him. So when you're single, you're able to do that because you're the only one that has to deal with whatever consequences might exist, if any exist. But when you get with somebody that you truly care about, that's trying to be that partner in crime with you, so to speak, what happens to you happens to them. What happens to them happens to you. And that level of consideration comes with so much power that I willingly keep that level of consideration at the forefront at all times because I wouldn't trade what I have.
Yeah.
Between the way we've been able to help each other grow, both spiritually, financially, physically, like I'm still getting my health back together. As you can see, I'm a little bit chubby right now, but I'm working on it. But anyway, you got
We all
it's
that.
easier to get all these things done when you get that partner in crime and when you really appreciate the power that comes from that. I truly believe because as Napoleon Hill said, one of the most powerful masterminds you can have is that of your spouse or significant other. That's so true. When I look back at where we were 7 years ago to where we are right now, whole different level of life. Whole different level of life. And we're just getting started on our true potential.
I think what's also so significant, and particularly when it comes to in this book, where on page 2, and I'm being intentional about the page number so that if people are going to see this on the replay, but in page 2, Dr. Zeigler talks about how she says society puts pressure on us to be everything to everybody, to be superwoman, to be superwomen. Y'all know how I feel about that whole superwoman craziness. And we accept the charge. Why do you think as Black women, we try to that we like accept this charge of, yep, I can do it. I can do that. Oh, you need me to do that? And it's like, okay, yeah, give it to me. Oh, you need me to do that? Okay, I got that too. Why do you think that is the case? Anybody?
Can I go back?
Shama
Can we
respond?
just go back? We had to. We were taking care of the
Shama respond?
kids, our own kids out in the field. We had to cook for the master and then figure out what food we needed to cook in the field. I mean, listen, we had to. We didn't have a choice. So it starts there. It's embedded, right, in our DNA, basically. We didn't have a choice. And then even as we quote unquote became free, we were still taking care of other people, right? Because that's the labor that they had for us, right? When we first started out, I can remember my grandmother and my great grandmother going into people's houses and taking care of these people. They cooked for them, they cleaned their homes, they took care of their kids, and then they came home and did the same thing. So we had to,
I love that. I love that, the history behind that. And a lot of times, I don't think a lot of people that are not Black or African American, my daughter said to me, I remember my daughter saying one day, she said, Mom, she said, you're not Black. She said, you're brown. And I said to her, I get it. I understand. So I know people are like, oh no, don't say Black. You're African American. Listen, if you at that level, then just go and look at somebody else's stuff because I don't have time for that.
I'm not African American. I've never been to Africa. My ties have been cut from Africa because my ancestors were slaves. That I don't know anything about Africa, and Africa is a continent. Okay? Everybody else says I'm English American, I'm German American, I'm Italian American. African American isn't a thing. And that's where part of our problem lies too. We've been unable to properly identify ourselves because we refuse to admit that we get to define ourselves. You could say my legacy was taken, I don't know where I come from, my history was stolen, or you could say I get to define all of that myself. I choose the latter.
And I think that there's a lot of freedom in just being able to define ourselves. I love what Tracy said about how, and my grandmother was the same way. I remember, my grandmother taking me with her to, as she was cleaning Miss such and such house. I still can remember this woman's name. And I'm seeing her granddaughter. I think this might have been her granddaughter. May have been her daughter. She had a pretty little pink dress with lace on it. And I'm looking like, what? Wait a minute. I knew we were different, but I didn't think we was that different. But I remember my grandmother, washing drapery and washing linen and so on and so forth. So that deep set of Black women looking and saying, man, I have to do it all. That's that for real, like superwoman syndrome stuff. But I know where it comes from. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Tracy, because that's like instinctively, we have to do it. That's how, even whether it was slavery, even after slavery, like it's just something in us many times where we feel like nobody else is going to take the responsibility. So we just assume the position, and now a lot of times I hear Black women say, oh, okay, I just, I understood the assignment. Well, some assignments, women, it's not for you. You don't have to assume the assignment or understand the assignment. And I think as we continue to go on in this book, Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen, is I think a lot of that, taking on so much responsibility has caused a lot of Black women to have mental health concerns. I know ain't nobody gonna talk about it, but it's my show. We're gonna talk about it because I know that this is true. You know why? Because I'm a Black woman and I done had some mental health situations. Because when you take on so much, and honestly, I really believe that some of it is planned that way, and then some of it is just in our like pedigree. Like, we do it because Big Mama did it. We do it because Madeir did it. We do it because that's like the sign of a strong Black woman. And what we don't talk about is what happens when you have to be at octane level for 30 years. What that does to your body, what that does to your mind, what that does to your children, right? And that's the part, and that's the part where I wanted us to really kind of bring that part out, because that's important. I said before, children, you can train a child to do anything, and I don't necessarily like the word train, because children are human beings, they're not animals. That's the first thing. But with that being said, I truly believe that women, we can't hear you either, Shima. Women, we have such great capacity to change lives of anybody. We really, really do. We're influential. We have so much that is already embedded within us. But I also would say this, is that many things that I learned, nobody taught me. I wasn't trained. I watched. I heard. I caught those things. I caught that when my grandmother would wake up 4:30 in the morning, waking up for my grandfather and making biscuits. I'm not going to wake up at 4:30 and make no biscuits. Thank God. I done changed that whole trajectory. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I remember her, making sure that my grandfather had this canteen, like those silver big canteens, and she made this coffee. I remember that. And I love the fact, even with what Brandy said about, partnership and companionship and, and being a wife and being a husband. I think that's the part where, for our grandparents, they went to almost the extreme to show that, hey, I'm here, so on and so forth, right? And then to some people, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, that wasn't extreme, because my grandfather on the construction company. And you know, when you building bridges, you got to be out there at 6 o'clock in the morning, right? But I just think about how my grandmother, I have a book called Bruised but Not Broken. But I remember I wrote in that, I said, I never saw my grandmother ever go to a spa. I never saw her ever get her feet, her nails done. She was always the person that she was the matriarch. And I don't really believe that she even knew how much stress she really was under. I don't believe that she knew how much stress that she was under. And not one time do I remember her saying, I'm gonna let somebody else do it. Because it's almost like what Tracy said. It was almost literally like embedded within her. And then we get these stigmas that are attached. Oh, you're a strong Black woman. Why can't I just be a Black woman? Why do I have to have all these titles and subtitles about who I am? Because that's really not who I am. Right?
And on top of that too, any successful woman is a strong woman. Strong Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, otherwise, it don't matter. Any successful woman, whether they're successful as mothers, successful in business, successful in being a lifelong scholar. Success takes on many forms. And in order to be successful, you have to be strong. So why say strong?
I know, and I think that's the thing, because sometimes it's almost like when we hear people say, "Oh, wow, she's a strong black woman," it's like it's a badge of honor.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that movie Scarlet Letter? Like she had to have that. It's like, oh, yes, I am a strong Black woman, but you're more than good enough just being a woman.
Yeah.
You know, why do we have to put and have so many labels? I don't think when it comes to men, I don't know how often I've heard something, that's a strong Black man. Maybe people do say that, but I think I hear it more when it comes to particularly African American women or Black women.
Yeah.
I hear it more.
And, you know, you were talking about the health concerns too, and I'm just going back and thinking about my family, and I came from a long line of what you would call strong Black women, right? To put that label on it. But there was so much like health concerns, physical issues that came out of that. Like you said, 30 years down the line, right? They were having strokes and heart attacks and you know what I mean? So you think about that. All those years of being a strong Black woman and carrying everything on your back and your shoulders made those things come up, right? Physically, those things started to appear. And we have a matriarch in our family right now who, you know, she didn't have biological children, but when I tell you, she took care of every child in the family, in the neighborhood, you know what I mean, in the church, from their mothers to the kids, to like she took care of everybody. And later on in life, that's what happened. She ended up having a stroke, but that's because she did not retire when she was supposed to, because she was helping take care of other people. So she decided to work longer. Things like that we have to get out of, right? We have to stop putting so much on the women that they feel like they have to stretch themselves so far until it gets to the point where those physical illnesses come up and take them out almost, right? Even if it doesn't kill them, it kills their spirit. It kills them physically to be able to operate the way that they normally would when they were vibrant women, right? So those are the things we have to like cut out. We have to stop putting everything on their backs.
Correct. And one of the things that I like about us having this engageful conversation is that this book is not just for Black women. This book is for anybody that loves or appreciates Black women, right?
Or anybody that wants to help understand us.
Absolutely. So I call that allyship. So if you are someone and you've just tuned in, hey Carrie, you just tuned in and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not a Black woman. I feel uncomfortable listening to Black women talk about Black womenism. You are okay. This is a safe place, because there's so many things that non-Black women can do non-Black women humans can do to support Black women. One, the first thing is to understand what Black women have gone through and what they still, their personal process of being here on this planet called Earth. I hear Carrie said, instead of normalizing being strong, we need to normalize balance. I absolutely agree. And that's the part. Carrie, don't come up on this show trying to steal thunder and stuff. I don't have time for that today. We're going to get into that, Carrie, a little bit in midway, but we're going to talk about that. Absolutely. That's really what this is about. I want to read this to you on page 3. It says, as soon as we step out, talking about us Black women, we put our game face on, our mask. The mask is our protection from all of the historical trauma and societal ills, racism, sexism, victimization that weigh us down. That's something right there already. It tries to keep the outside hurt from getting in and the inside hurt from getting out. And oftentimes the mask is a facade and doesn't really reflect what we've been through or how we're feeling. Although we generally accept the labels of strong Black women with pride, on the other side of the mask are stress, anxiety, and depression that leads to unhealthy behaviors such as emotional eating, poor sleep, neglecting self-care, and simply not doing for ourselves. And I want to say to somebody, can we take this mask and burn it? Just strip it off your face and burn it. Because who are we wearing the mask for? Like, you cannot be everybody's everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've tried. And society has told us, oh, strong. Oh, it just reminds me of so many shows that I remember watching, a whole lot of them. Just like the Black woman can do everything.
Mm.
All in all, she can. Matter of fact, they have songs about it. I can bring home the bacon, dine that I fry it up in the bacon, dine that and all this other stuff. Listen, you don't have to though.
Yeah.
That's the reason for this book club, is that you may be able to do all of that, but I want to say to you today is that you don't have to. As we bring Shima, let me know when you're ready.
You know what I wanted to say too? I think the masks are for ourselves. I don't necessarily think it's for anybody else. It's really a coping mechanism, right? We have to fake it until we make it to where we need to be, is what we've been doing, right?
Yeah,
Put the smile on. Yeah, I think it's really for ourselves.
Yeah, I think I appreciate you saying that, because that's a whole different perspective. Sometimes we look at it as, well, we're gonna, we're putting the mask on so other people, right here, Tracy, so other people can't really see what we really feel and what's really going on the inside of us. So it is like what Dr.
It's probably for their own safety though, because like I know if you knew what the hell was on my mind during some of the things that I was put through while working full time, y'all be very, very scared and lucky that I have the level of control over myself that I do. Some of us don't have the control, and you refer to them as crazy and so on and so forth. The level of crazy that it takes to hold a straight face, well, you know dang well you would rather kick a dude in his nuts, but you cock your head and say, thanks, Tim, I'll take that under advisement, and continue on with your day.
Yeah.
The level of control that takes is immense, and it's often understated and not often understood by those outside of ourselves, because the experience of a Black woman is so unique that we would never do to others what has been done and continues to be done to us, because we're nurturers by nature.
Yeah. And I want to say this. So I think that a lot of Black women, let me say it this way. I don't know if all women in general are nurturers. I don't know if all women are nurturers, right? I think that there are certain things in life or certain people that God allows or uses so that someone great can come forth. I just
Right.
don't. I'm gonna leave that thing there. I'm gonna leave that thing there. It's gonna be for a different show. But I really do also love the fact that, you know, Dr. Zeigler said, she said we wear the mask as a way of coping with our own pain, which is basically what Tracy was saying. You know, she said it's our survival tactic. But is it really serving us? I don't think so. She said, in fact, I believe that the quote strong Black woman mask is preventing us from being our true, authentic, and abundant selves. That right there.
Wait a minute. What page you on?
I'm on page 3. Page
Good.
3, third paragraph. And so let's talk a little bit about, I know our friend Carrie Irene Crosby, they have a healing summit that's coming up starting tomorrow. And so this thing just fell, how this book club fell into place. It's called Alignment. To talk a little bit about trauma. So I love what Dr. Zeigler says. She said, when all forms of suffering are considered, it's hard to find a Black woman who hasn't experienced some form of trauma. And it says, yet if you don't look closely or ask the right questions, you will look right past them. Black women have been pushing through and going through the motions for so long that suffering has become normal. What do y'all think about that? That suffering has become normal. We have normalized trauma. We've normalized.
How do you know that it's true? Think about it. Do you see us freaking out airplanes and things right now? Our trauma is normal. What's going on with COVID and everything, it might be a little bit different, but we've been through so much that, like, when COVID hit and everything, we were at home and stuff, like, yeah, we had to figure some things out, but did we lose our shit? Excuse my language. No, we did not. But others who have never really faced anything suddenly have to face just a little bit of something with the rest of humanity, and they're losing their entire effing minds.
Thank you for saying
So,
that.
yes, it is normal. It is very normal, and we've learned to deal with it, and we're learning to undo the things that are causing us harm now, because we're learning to flow with the things and allow things to flow through us rather than like linger on inside, causing the diseases and things that you see in a lot of women that don't learn how to actually say no when it's necessary, or know that, like, we're not mentally prepared for some of the things that we might encounter in corporate America. But now, instead of doing our daughters and sons a disservice by not telling them, like, corporate America is jacked up, but the when you're able to control yourself and keep your eye on the prize, the nonsense is worth it, because eventually you'll be the one at the top. But before Tracy, before Shima, y'all weren't warned about that. You kind of encountered it as you got to certain levels of things. Whereas me, I know it's there, and I was able to decide for myself, do I want to suck it up in order to get to a certain level, in order to achieve certain things in the corporate world? Or do I want to learn and apply things in my own business, my own investment strategies, my own structures? And I find that I get more satisfaction out of building for myself than for an existing company, because at the end of the day, I can't pass down somebody else's company. I can pass down what I build.
And you know what?
The sacrifice worth it.
You know what, Brandy? There is. I was watching CNBC this morning, and there is a huge mass of corporate executives, whether you are in a C-suite or S-suite, that are leaving corporate America right now. Like, they are saying,
That's it.
I'm out of here. I'm done. I invested well. I did all that, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
And it's happening in droves. It's happening so much right now that they're doing literally a show about it next week. Like, why are there so many corporate executives? And, when you think about, Black women, we are the least represented gender. I'll say gender. We'll put the gender and ethnicity. I know Black ain't an ethnicity. Just roll with me, y'all. I know you're smart, but we are the least represented. But I will tell you this, there are so many Black women now that are saying, you know what? I have neglected my children. I have neglected myself. I have neglected my body. I have taken on 5 different more hats. When you asked me to come and be a part, and I was going to be doing this, now I'm doing 4 different other things.
Yeah.
You're still paying me the same amount of money. And it's almost like, I can speak it because I'm this was my life. It's almost like corporate America, the non-Black corporate America particularly, they know that about Black women. So it's like, assume the position. And they know we're going to do it. And they know we're going to do it. And so I'm so happy to hear that there are Black corporate women that are in corporate America or just or non-corporate America. You just work and you just said, listen, you are not going to do this anymore. And I need to start taking care of me. I need to pull back and take care of me. And as I'm sitting here having this conversation, Shima and Brandy were in the back room. I'm telling you, as I'm talking, I literally hear God saying to me, you better listen to what you're talking about right now. Like, listen to what you're saying. Listen to what you are saying. But some of the stuff some appointments you got tomorrow, I want you to girl, listen. Tracy.
I wanted to say, thank God for all this. Shima mentioned it earlier, awareness, right? And I think it started happening in our generation, which is why we started to break away from corporate America and started to understand who we really are and get our own flow and do what we are called to do. But Brandy's generation, man, like blowing my mind. Yeah, blowing my mind. And I just can't wait to see what's going to happen with generations to come, because now we get and I know I left corporate America too, because I get the opportunity to show my son before I get too old how this really is supposed to work. In terms of living out your purpose and being happy with what you're doing and love what you're doing and do things that are meaningful, right? Not just because you need to have a job, but do things that you love to do that are going to serve the greater good. So I'm glad that we became aware and started to do things differently, right? Otherwise, we would just be allowing the cycle to just continue and continue. And we talked about history before, right? It definitely goes back. But the fact that we're changing it now, you see, the world is changing. So COVID was a blessing, even though it was a curse too, right? Because we lost a lot of beautiful people. But COVID was a blessing. It was an awakening. And I hope people really consider what's happening out there. It's time for the Black women to take charge.
Listen.
Yeah, just think about it.
If you cannot see that what has happened in the last just 2 years, and that's Tracy was saying, I'm agreeing with you, Tracy. Hey, Daniela, is that the millennium generation, baby, you're not getting ready to stop them. This what you're not going to get ready to do.
Stopping us.
You are not getting ready to tell them what they should be doing, how they should be doing it. You're not getting ready. And I'm telling you, for like our generation, Tracy and Shima, I'm looking like, oh my, what? Like, what's happening?
Millennials taking over.
Man, y'all,
we got to do it entirely different.
Are taking over. Their thought, their mindset is very, very different. I told my daughter this, I think it was Sunday. I told her, I said, I am so proud of you, because when I was 22, I was married, had a house, taking, rental, just so much responsibility.
Mhm.
And my daughter is doing stuff, and I'm looking like, wait a minute, like bold. Like this is a generation of just being bold. They're like, I don't care what you think, I don't care what you say, I can do it. Encourage me a little bit. That's great. And I think a lot of it has to do with social media. A lot of it has to do with networking, connection. But I think honestly, with all of that, I think the majority of it is that they really believe that they are unstoppable.
Yeah.
They believe it, that
Yeah.
they are unstoppable. Who's going to stop me from having a business and going to school if that's what I decide to do?
Right.
And my business is profitable.
Mhm.
Who's going to stop me?
Mhm.
And I am just amazed every single day when I see certain things. I'm like, oh my goodness, because in my head, I'd be like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Just stay in the box. We were told, just stay in the box.
Or wait.
Or
Just wait. Just wait.
Yeah, we
On
blowing
what?
that box up.
Right.
We blowing that up.
Right.
There ain't no box at all.
The universe, God said the universe is mine, therefore I'm gonna take it. Okay.
That's
And
right.
the millenniums have said, okay, for all y'all Bible thumpers, the millenniums have said, listen, we take this just as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Right.
if it's necessarily the biblical, them knowing, and I love what Sheba said before about the awakening. These folk are woke. They
Yeah.
are already woke. They're like, listen, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to have dominion over absolutely everything. So
Mhm.
let me show y'all. I think, what are we? Generation Z? What are we? I don't know.
No,
whatever we are.
I don't know what
You're
generation
not.
came after the baby boomers.
I don't know. That's us.
Right.
We're not baby boomers though. We're right after that.
We're
Yeah.
right after
Yeah, you're
them.
right after the baby boomers.
Yeah.
We know, Brandy. Stop saying it. So it's like they look and they said y'all was talking it, but we're gonna show y'all how this thing is really.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is amazing though.
Mhm.
Well, we took from y'all's lead though, and that's something y'all gotta be proud of too, because your parents told you go to school, get into corporate America, do the dance thing, save your money, do this, do that. Y'all have done that, and we saw what happened. Yes, we lived better, but you guys seemed miserable once you got older. Not you, but like my parents. And I'm not saying that they're like absolutely miserable, but it's like they look at us and they're like, we could have did it a different way, but we followed what our parents said, because you're supposed to obey your parents. But their parents didn't know what they were actually telling them to do. They saw other people doing it, but didn't understand the consequences of doing it. So when you got two parents that are in corporate America doing the damn thing, making all the good money, but you don't have parental guidance, you traded one thing for another. So we saw that happen. And we're like, okay, as kids, yeah, we wish we would have had mom and dad more often. In my case, I had mom, and dad was home on weekends. Mom was in the house for the most part. She had her part-time job, but like during the day, as kids, she was home with us. That's outside the norm. It was because of that observation that I realized that I needed to be home, but I needed to be home, but also able to generate an income. And I don't have to. And that's a crazy thing. I have a choice. I could sit here, eat bomb, watch soap operas all day, and kiki ha ha online all day. But to me, that would be disrespectful to the sacrifice that my husband makes. And so he makes the money, I make the money, make money. Okay, that's my job.
Okay. I love that. I love that.
And so we're
right.
experimenting. It's an active experiment, right? I saw my parents did. Yeah, they did this good, they did this good, they did this great, but we were lacking here. So let's try to make new mistakes.
No. Got it. I totally understand that. And I want to just say thank y'all. Because if y'all are doing this now, and I thank you, Michelle, letting us know we Generation X. Okay. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. But I wanted to just say to millenniums, I'm telling you, I'm learning. I am learning. I'm not that person like, oh no, I'm the elder. Y'all got to listen to me, baby. No, I'm listening. One of my greatest quotes that I had was over 10 years. 10
I
years
think that's
younger.
exactly what makes us.
But didn't the Bible say from the mouth of babes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what makes us that bridge between our parents and you guys, because okay, we know we were taught this good stuff, but you know what? Y'all got some good stuff going. So I want to learn.
Absolutely.
And the yearn to learn
Mm-hmm.
is what makes the difference in any generation,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely.
And
And I
that's what we started doing, right? Like started
Uh,
seeking knowledge elsewhere outside of the
Absolutely.
traditional forms of education, right? We started to seek knowledge.
Absolutely.
absolutely. And I think that with, this exodus that's happening in corporate America,
Mm.
people have different options now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot of options. I mean, you can do a whole bunch of if I mean, it's just some intelligent Black women out here. I mean, selling all kind of products from hair to shea butter. I mean, we got them inside of our in our triad. You got people are just innovative and are saying, you know what, no longer will I do that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw how, kind of like what Brenda was saying, I saw how, whether you were not available as a parent or as a mom, and that ain't really what I want for my life. That's not really what I want for my life. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I got to do something a little bit different, right? As we get ready, I want to just read, there's this portion in the book. It's on chapter 2. And it talks about this. It says, that's my dog, y'all. He just want that attention.
Hey, Sydney.
I saw it.
We'll talk about it later. In an informal social media poll, come here, Sydney. That she said she conducted. Come here. He's just like a child, y'all. You just have to come. You have to get that. Come here.
Right.
Snap on it. Come here. It says Black women in my network participants reported the following stressors. Okay. This was, I'm not going to read them all, but she said making money and saving money. That's a stressor. Experiencing microaggression at work. I can talk about that all day. Being the only Black woman or few of in the workplace. Being the first in the family to, quote, make it. Dealing with white privilege. Experiencing imposter syndrome. Feeling like you're under a microscope. Being afraid of disappointing themselves or others. I circled that one. Feeling not good enough, having to provide for or take care of children, being a single parent, feeling concerned about the safety of our Black sons. I have 5 Black sons. Feeling unsafe, trying to be superwoman, a wife, a partner, a mother, an employer, all of that. Balance, work, and life, and planning for the future. So when I think about that, I mean, this is an entire list of items that Black women have said. These are things that stress them the hell out. So I want to say to individuals, I want to say this. First, to Black women, you don't have to be in corporate America, because this is talking about nobody knows the trouble I've seen, the emotional lives of Black women. Slow down. I just want you to slow down. I want you to challenge yourself to know that it doesn't matter if you are in corporate America or you're not in corporate America. You might be in higher ed, whatever it is, that you are already great. And if I would have had a mentor when I graduated with an undergraduate degree, if I would have had a mentor, a coach, 2 different things, that would have come to me and said, listen, I see you. And I see what you are aspiring to do. But there's a better way of doing it. There's a better way of doing it. And I think that it is our responsibility. It's my responsibility to see young Black women that may want to aspire to do whatever it is. It's my responsibility to hold their arms up. It's my responsibility to say, listen, sugar, there's a better way. There's an easier way. There's an easier way. You don't have to go through certain things that you have gone through. You don't have to do it that way anymore. You don't have to sleep your way up the corporate ladder. That ain't cute. You don't have to do that. And I think that if we have individuals that are either watching on the replay or even listening now, and if you see a young Black woman that you know now I'm going to say this with the premise of also understanding. I know for me, as Antoinette Marie, I don't work with lazy people.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if somebody came to me and they were like, oh, Miss Antoinette Marie, I really want you. I think you'd be a great coach. Listen, I ain't lazy. I don't produce laziness. There's some work that you got to do, right?
Mhm.
But it is our responsibility as more seasoned Black women to help other Black women
Mhm.
and help them wherever they need the help at, without it seeming as though, because it shouldn't be no sense of no competition. But next week, we're going to talk about this competition thing, because naturally, as Brandy said, that's not who we are. We don't I just naturally want to compete with my Black sister. That's not who we, I'm telling you, that has, whether corporate America or not, that societal thing has caused us to say, oh, we got to compete. We're not competing. We're great in everything that we do. We put our hands to do. We're just great at it. So now we feel like we have to compete. We're not doing any of that competing. And so I challenge us today to think about, are there women, Black women in particular, that you believe that you can help in some way?
Mhm.
Whether that is, it doesn't even have to be a long-term mentorship. It could be
Right.
just you saw something on social media, and perhaps you wanted to just have a conversation. But I will say this is that what I do know about millenniums is this: you're not just gonna come in and snatch their edges up without having a relationship.
Mhm.
That you're not gonna do, because they're not down for that.
Mhm.
They're
No.
not our generation where, oh, I just wanted to let you know you should have did that. They're not listening to that. We shouldn't have listened to it, to be honest.
Mhm. Right.
It's about
You better introduce yourself and let
relationship.
me know what qualifies you to tell me this information.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
That's
here's
right.
the thing: you could be qualified because you got all these degrees higher than a thermostat. But if I don't have a relationship with you, you can't come in and tell me nothing. You can't say nothing to me. You can't impart, witness, embed anything in my life if I don't believe that you've come out of the spirit of love.
And that requires a
Well,
Mhm.
connection. That's right.
Mhm.
And that's the part, because this generation of mighty and I mean, y'all just courageous millenniums. They're not scared. They're not scared of us. Oh, back in our day, we would raise our voice. It's like somebody would raise their voice and you'd be like, "Oh God, no!" They looking like at you like, when you finish what? They have no fear. They don't have fear. They looking at it as, I'm gonna do what I said I'm gonna do, and when I do it, it is what it is. That's how they look at it.
That's
And so
right.
as we think about next week, and I'm very excited. So if we have individuals, and I know Tracy had to jump off because she had a call. If we have individuals, if you would like to come in and engage in this conversation, we really could go 2 hours on this book, because there's so much that is in here. And we're like on chapter 2.
I know.
two.
We, we chapter 2, but I did make an oath to myself. I said I'm gonna go every week until December the 23rd, and then we're done. Because if you've read this book, let me say this. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be done. Jennifer Lewis, I know people know who Jennifer Lewis is. She's the author of The Mother of the Black Hollywood, right? Blackish mama person. Okay. This is what she said about this book. She said, patience, courage, and perseverance are required in taking good care of yourself. You are worthy. You are important. Your song is part of a great symphony. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen will help you find your instrument and melody. This book here, and every single person that was on here today really has me reconsidering what I believed was a great opportunity. And sometimes in life, if we are living in a great situation, as Black women, sometimes we still believe that that's not enough. We feel as though we have to do more. We have to do more. And though you have worked for years, have saved, invested in years, and you may be at home, sometimes we will feel as though, wow, I'm not doing enough. So let me say this to the beautiful Black women that are out here. And you are running your own business. You're doing great things for yourself. You don't have to do any more than what you have to do.
That's right.
You don't have to pretend to be anybody more than who you are. Live your life authentically with grace. And if God has blessed you to be in a really great place of love, care, inspiration, abundance, you don't have to make an excuse. Come on, God. You don't have to make an excuse for you living in that.
It's a matter of perspective.
I don't.
It's perspective. You don't have to run your business. You could run your household.
Mm-hmm.
Even if, so Shima, I can run my household even if I don't have young kids, even if
You
it's just
sure
me and my
can.
husband.
You still got to take care of that house.
Still got to take care.
Because you still got to live.
You got to live.
And how you live is not indicative of how somebody else has lived.
Yes.
Don't try to be everything you see.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
You don't have
Don't
to
try to be everything you see. Oh my.
Oh, if you have 12 businesses, that's wonderful. I have days when I don't even want to put on pants. So with 12 businesses, I'm going to have to put on some pants somewhere. So if that's not your perspective,
yeah,
don't adapt it.
Yes.
And don't let nobody put it on you.
Yes. That's good.
Live your life. The life God led for you, created for you, laid out for you.
Laid out. Listen, Shima done spoke. Shima said, don't get me started. See, I felt all that.
I'm excited. This is only part what?
The first right.
This is what we went over today. The two chapters. This is what we came up with. Good gracious.
We're in trouble. We're in trouble. So I want to say thank you to Michelle for joining us. I love what you said. She said, yes, don't try to be what you see. I'm telling you, I challenge somebody to put that on in social media. I really believe
that's right.
That we can really change people's lives by living in our own truth.
That's right.
Just you can
and
change.
Stop lying about where you are in life or not.
Ooh. What'd you say, Brandon?
I said stop lying about where you are in life or not. You're doing yourself and anybody that you're supposed to help a disservice. Like, be where you're at and be okay with that.
Right.
Yes. And if you're not okay, then you change it.
Right.
Because you're not okay.
Your perspective. That's your life.
If you're not okay with it, you change it. But if you are okay with it, what is it that you got to change? Because somebody else said that you should be doing this or that you should be doing that. They can't even manage their own life, but they're going to tell you how to manage yours.
That part. Oh my God. Yeah, I need to copy my book when it comes out in the springtime. I touch on all of that and then some.
I really appreciate it. We're gonna read the book, Brandy. I really appreciate you, Shima, BJ, Tracy for being on here, Michelle, Carrie, Daniela, thank you for tuning in as well. Listen, don't miss next week. I'm still gonna do this at 10 o'clock. And we're going to continue with this conversation about Black women. The name of the book again is Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen, The Emotional Lives of Black Women by Dr. Burnett Zeigler. And you can get some real good information. And for somebody said to me, oh, wow, somebody put something in my comment. So I'm going to just go and liberate you. Somebody said, oh, she chose the book by a white woman, and a white woman to talk about Black women. First of all, get your life together.
She's Black. She's Black. She's a Black doctor. She just has
All
a
right,
German name.
I'm sorry.
I knew she was Black, but as soon as I saw her the first 2 or 3 paragraphs written in that book, I was like, she might have a German name, but she's Black.
I accept y'all apology.
Right.
It's okay. It's okay. I love you anyway.
Sometimes people need to be redirected, and you got to put them in their lane.
I know. Just
that's all right.
Put you back on.
In your lane now, you can drive in your lane. Good. Now you got it.
Go ahead and drive. Get an EV though, because there ain't gonna be no gas.
That's right.
But I want to say I love you. I appreciate you all being on here. Get the book. If you don't get the book, do it Kindle, however you want to do it. If you got to borrow somebody's, borrow it. And I really truly believe that this is going to continue to help enlighten and to edify Black women. If you're not a Black woman, if you are a white woman,
it'll
and you want
edify
to be
you
an
too.
ally to Black women, this will edify you too.
That's right.
This will give you some really important information on the things that we have gone through. So I never want to hear I never want to hear people say, oh, Black women just got attitudes. I'm going to do just right here.
Right.
There you go. That's all I'm
going to show you the book. I might smack you with it.
Oh. See, it's Brandy different. She's a different generation.
That's that X.
So I want to say thank you so much. Share this video. If you would like to be a part and come on live, just message me. And I'm on, I think I can do about 9 people, including myself will be 10. And we'll come on here and we are going to discuss. Nobody knows the troubles that I have seen. I appreciate you.
Great.
Yeah. Huh? You said
I said great book.
Great book. And so
I left it home, but it is a good book.
All right. I'll see you all later and have an excellent day. I see you on Bridging the Nations on Sunday. Be well.
Hello, beloved. This is Antoinette Marie. I believe that every one of us is born with a purpose. No matter who you are, what you do, or how far you think you have to go, you have been tapped by a force greater than yourself to step into your God-given calling. And I also believe that each one of us has an essential role in the whole of humanity. You see, the purpose of me creating Antoinette Marie Speaks is to offer the wisdom of experience from visionaries, artists, teachers, and trailblazers who have walked this road before you and who have shared their inspiration and lessons with me. So let's go. Let's take this journey together and let's discover the purpose for your life on this earth. This is Antoinette Marie.